Welcome back, guys. Huge news. SEC may finally need to disclose former SEC Director Bill Hinman's files in which he states that Ethereum is not a security. This could be huge for crypto. This could be the turning point that we need. For the second part of the show, with all the regulation talk lately, I want to look at what it actually means when regulation enters the crypto market. But I want to look at it slightly differently. Population growth and economic growth are extremely important, in my point of view, to look at when we're discussing how this transition is going to happen from the traditional market into crypto. All right, before we do that, let's get into the charts. All right, Bitcoin on the 1 hour. Our total price range for the past 14 days is giving us a pretty small readout here between 19,600, bottom side 19,400. Have a small breakout opportunity here. However, I don't think that's going to really happen right away for at least the next 2 bars or so. Looking at the top side of this channel that we're currently in at 19,700, bottom side is 19,256. I don't think that we're going to break out of this channel within the next few hours or so. In the next couple of days, it's likely that if we do break 19,700, which I think that would actually require us to close above 19,800 in order to hit the top side of this upper channel, which is 20,400. If we get rejected here at 19,700, or we don't close above 19,700 in the next day or two, you're likely to see the bottom side of this downward trend, which is at 19,000 even. Right now at the upper limit of our strength, very low volume overall, even for Bitcoin, extremely low volatility, market-wide trend. Our machine indicator is giving us very little breakout opportunity. However, we're seeing a slight possibility for the upside, and that was already shown here at a 52% probability. Our profitability is at 51%, so barely breaking even on options interest. You don't want to play your quartiles too risky. Got some recent hidden bullish divergence. However, look at this very paper-thin deviation here. Over the 5-day, you see a lot of expansions. No real true pattern showing, just high-frequency expansion here going on for power bands. Very deadly. Solana bouncing around in this mid-channel here, taking the mid-path. I squeezed this channel that we're currently in because I think that we're going to knock around on this upper part here between $34, mid $34, and bottom side 33.7. If we top off at 34, we're likely to break down to this bottom channel here at 32.9 and 33.6. I think for the next couple of hours, while we have a slight breakout opportunity here on profitability, we're barely breaking over half at 52%. We're in the middle of our strength here on our stochastic. We're not getting a lot of divergence reads lately for Solana, so more middling path. That's why I tightened this range here. If you're looking for an absolute breakout on total price for the past 14 days, then we have a range of $33.72 and a topside range of $34.14. Doesn't give you a lot of room to play. However, it is telling us that MACD is pretty extreme right now, so you could have an opportunity for swing on price. Veracity, a little bit more of a spread on the price, on total price for the past 14 days at 37.6 at the bottom. Top side, 38.2. Our initial balance range could adjust to the upside of this downward trend here. If we top off there, we're at 38. But the top side of this channel is also reading at 38.5. So likely you're looking at a distribution between the lower side of this channel, which is 36.2. Now we're below the middle part of our strength. Really wide deviation on the quartiles. However, the difference is that we hit 3 marks or 4 marks on the 90th percentile on the quartile, where only 18% of the previous 10 bars have been higher volume than this one. So overall, very low volume, very underweight, extremely low volatility, not looking great for the crypto market right now. We need more confidence to enter the market. I think a lot of these volume indicators are working off the cool-off of Veracity, which had a really nice volatility and price movement lately. Short term, building into a pressure. However, I think we stay inside this main channel here. And if you're looking for a tighter squeeze on the range, once more on a call. Mapping this out earlier, I think the balance range might increase a little. However, don't think that we're going to go any lower right away in the next day. Below 37 and above 38. Luna Classic, working on this downtrend. Not much of a channel though. Very, very small chance for breakout. Only 8% of bars in the past 10 bars have been higher volume than this one. So really low opportunity for anything. Very low volatility, of course, for Luna Classic as well. We're going sideways for a little bit here on Luna Classic on the short term, and looking at the 4-hour chart, I don't think that we're going to stay on top of this downward trend for very much longer. And if we do, we're getting an expanding bottom. So we're likely to hit this top. And if we do, likely as in if we do break out to the top side, then you're likely to hit the top of it actually at 32, but then quickly re-enter this downward channel. I think you'll knock around in this a little bit, but this is actually giving us a good opportunity for a really stronger much stronger breakout at the bottom if we hit the bottom of this channel, which is at 1.3-ish in the next couple of days. I do think that's a likely scenario to be played out with this extreme quartile deviation. But with our last 10 bars being really mostly standard, a couple of hits on the third quartile, 1/90th percent, all the rest below 2 and 1. Overall, very underweight volume for Terra Classic, which is uncharacteristic for it lately at the 1.1s and lower. If we add a 0 worst case scenario, I think that's just getting prices really juicy. You're going to see a pump again for Luna Classic in the next 2 weeks if we hit the bottom of this channel. If we continue to bounce around in the middle of this channel, I don't think you have a definitive answer there, and we're just going to continue to trend downwards in that case. But once we hit lower levels, I still think pumps are in the cards for Luna Classic. We do have some bullish news for Luna Classic for you Lunacy fans out there. There are a couple of protocols popping up that are native to the Luna Classic chain, one of them being a DeFi protocol. Very, very exciting for Luna Classic. Injective, breaking into this wedge that this pressure that we've been trying to conclude for quite a bit now. Nice even channel overall in the past several days. Our last 10 bars, mostly under the third quartile. Have a couple of deviations here, but overall, really strong buying action for Injective. But I think that's really working off the steam that was built up previously, just like Veracity. You see expanding bottoms here, at least lately on the power bands. And our strength indicators are not really giving us much of an opportunity to break out, and that's showing right now on our breakout bar with the total price the past 14 days spanning between 1.66 and 1.68, very small range. Profitability is really low for Injective right now at 46%. So options trading and interest, not much deviation there. And you see it reflected in the quartile deviation, pretty thin there at 3.2 thousand. Overall, again, very underweight deviations, very underweight volume, very low volatility overall, market-wide trend. Synthetics, I've been meaning to look at synthetics. I think synthetics was pretty greatly affected by the introduction of Injective on Coinbase Exchange. You see that we're following a behavior pattern really well for synthetics, and I think that's a telltale sign that there was some outside factors playing into the price movement for synthetics. But I do think that has a good opportunity to return, and you're seeing a nice bounce off on this V-shaped recovery here from a bottom out, a local bottom at 2.1. If you're interested in synthetics and DeFi and you think that's the way in the future, I think synthetics is a really good play. It has more longevity as far as most other platforms. It's a little more mature than Injective. So overall, we're getting a lot of metrics contradictions here though. Our quartile has been mostly under 3. The third quartile, we have a slight breakout for the short term at 55%. We have a strong profitability compared to the rest of the market at 54% for synthetics. However, we're at the upper limit of our strength here. And overall, very low volatility again. We do have a breakout opportunity for total price on the machine read, but the range is pretty small at 2.4 and top side being 2.436. So we're going to need some more strong divergences to show us opportunity. Right now we're getting a hidden bear. So I don't think that you're going to continue up this trend for very much longer. If you do, that'll carry you to the top side of this channel here at 2.5 for within the next 2 days. At the very positive side of it, the really negative side of it, bottom side of this channel is 2.2. I just think that you're going to continue to range. This pressure wedge will not form out, and if it does follow a long trend here and break the 2.5, I think there's a rejection in the future for synthetics on any kind of bullishness at 2.6. And that'd actually be really good thing for synthetics because it'll likely form a new initial balance right inside of this channel between 2.5 and 2.6, and that'll break us out of this channel in short order. Serum, see that we're in the middle of our speed fan right now. Our triangle is pretty wide on Serum right now, extremely bullish. We saw some really juicy prices for Serum. This could be one of the few opportunities in the market really for a price difference here. However, our last 14 days is giving us a total price average of 0.77 and 0.776. So very, very consolidated price opportunity right now, but we're getting a strong breakout at 56% compared to the rest of the market. And again, profitability on Serum is at 54%. Deviation on quartiles is pretty small, and you see that reflected in the past 10 bars. Highest opportunity being the third quartile, but we had a couple of 90th percentiles. Our stochastics are getting kind of strong though on our indicators here, but very low volatility, and you see divergences mostly on the green side, but again, contradictory against the bands. We see a lot of expanding bottoms, and for Serum, they're pretty prevalent. So I think that there could be pivot opportunity here. However, that could be a little bit of a red flag, as where the contrarian signals are not going to really play out here. On this 10 bar readout, 54% of our past 10 bars have been higher volume than our current bar. So are we at the top of the hour? We're at near the bottom of the hour. So this is actually a good opportunity for a very, very immediate short term for a breakout opportunity on Serum. If we do break out, we're likely to top 7-8 here, and then you're going to see a return to form on the bottom of this trend, going sideways for a bit more, at least for the next few days at 7.5, as low as 7.5. But I do think, just like with synthetics, we could reach a new initial balance here, so we could form a new range, and I'd say the upper part of that new range will likely be formed above this current line. Well, I'd keep it at 8, and the new range would be somewhere at our previous resistance, which would be 7.76, which matches our total price readout for the last 14 days. So again, next few days for Serum, 7.88, and bottom side is pretty much where we're at right now, 7.7. So we're likely to form a new channel here. However, be wary that we're in the middle of our speed fan right now. All right, real quick before we move on. DXY, we popped above this 110 a few days ago. Looks like we're heading back towards this 110 line again. The reason why this is notable is because if you notice here, we've only broken above 110 and stayed above it only a handful of times in history. Each time that we do break above 110, it shows a reoccurring pattern, right? When we break, come back down on the month and break above it again, only to wick back below it once more and then exceed 120. They've done that again recently here for the second time, reaching 110, spike above it, come down below, spike above it again, pull back and touch 120. However, you notice that we have a falling top. So this time around in history, we could have exhausted that opportunity. However, if history plays out again like it has been, we're on the dip right now for the first dip. We're likely to spike above 110 if we break below 110 again. You see a falling trend here. So we're likely to pop just above this trend as we've done in history, probably around 115-ish. And again, if history plays out as it's been, break down below it, and we're likely to not really go much higher than there. So that means possible resolution is at hand for the DXY, reflective of the market. Is that the case? We'll see. You notice here, though, that every time we fall from 120, we have a stronger bottom out on DXY. So if we bottom out even lower here, plus or 2 minus percent on these returns, this lowest portion being $70 value, is it possible we go below $70, which is extremely, extremely bullish for the rest of the asset market. All right, let's get into the news. SEC has been using attorney-client privilege to revoke disclosing former SEC Director Bill Hinman's files, in which he states several times that ETH is not a security. However, there is no clear time frame for resolution to this case, but it looks like we're reaching one. So if this happens within the next few months, this could be right on schedule with what we've been looking at here on this show. But based on the fear and greed index that we're looking at on behavior, historically, where we're at right now is the same as the previous cycle before the halving. If we see a dump leading into the beginning of 2023, we could see some extreme high highs throughout 2023 and leading into the halving of 2024. However, of one of two scenarios that we've been talking about here on this show, second scenario would carry us slightly sideways but upwards, and take us into a bull run that would exceed the halving into 2025. Now this brings me to this next article, which I think is a really underlooked way at viewing how the crypto market is going to play out. In this article, it's talking about economic growth and how that could be extended or sustained for the long run. So as we know, we're continuing to grow as a population. And some people think of population growth as an issue. However, on the other hand, what's really underlooked is that population growth is actually a requirement for economic growth. And it doesn't work the opposite way. And that right now we're seeing immense costs because we're trying to sustain mortality and immortality. As where sustainable growth doesn't really require people to die off. That's actually the end of the S-curve on a linear path. Right? So growth theory, as suggested by Dasgupta here in this article, is suggesting that even since 1948 on a study from Robert Solow on economic growth, he's proposing here from the 1950s on that basic factors including population growth, saving and investment, and rate of technological development are all essential to growth theory. All of these things factor in to long-run sustainable growth. Yet, popular social thought is that we need to curb population growth and we need to increase mortality rate. This reminds me of a study from anthropologist Clifford Geertz, who wrote about a theory called involution. Involution being a concept created by Philip Huang. On involution, which is evolution inverted, Clifford Geertz in his study suggested that societies following linear growth will experience population increase coupled with loss of wealth per capita. Linear growth S-curve having 3 points, the rise, the peak, and the transition, or the bottom. Emblematic of that transition or the bottom is a polarization, or two sides of the same coin. And this is usually always a problem. He gives an example that if the majority of the society in question is religious, it'll switch to secular religion. This is the problem with our transition from traditional markets into crypto, is that we're trying to take the same set of rules and fit it into a different box. Why this is relevant is that it's showing that we're trying to swing from traditional finance and taking the same thoughts, same culture, and carrying that into a completely different technological development in crypto. We have to come up with new rules and new ways of addressing this new growth. And we have to view this exponential growth not on the current linear path, but on a new one. Other key points in this article is mentioning that on economic theory, a lot of the conditions that are not included for economic growth and economic wealth is the natural world. A lot of economics do not include sustainability on finite Earth. So while economic growth is potentially infinite, the resources are finite. So in order to sustain our transition, we have to undergo a period of cultural change. One of the main topics in contemporary anthropology and constitutional law has to do with household sovereignty. And so I think that moving into a new financial market like crypto, you're going to start to see a lot of human rights affecting social change. And human rights policy, on one hand, seems extremely positive. However, human rights policy has the ability to transcend all other types of democracy or communism or other forms of policy that we've seen in the past. That's just my small opinion. However, if we're going to undergo social change and we're going to begin to adopt environmental science into economic theory, that's extremely bullish. We all know that crypto is going to be a game changer for energy. And if you take a look at projected growth for renewables and the energy sector, as Michael Saylor constantly says himself, all the most meaningful growth sectors are tech. So I don't think that anything's going to change anytime soon extremely. It's just that we're going to have to undergo a social change and get off the pole that we're on traditional market, carrying that into a different market. All right. That being said, trade safe, have fun, see you on the next one. Thank you. Bye.